Hey everyone, and welcome to a super spooky edition of the Coach Replay. Happy Halloween. Kim and I are excited to do another Halloween special edition for you this year. We asked you to share with us your spookiest, scariest stories. And I'm not going to lie, we got some really interesting ones in our DMs. We got a few about actual like athletic coaches, which we kind of giggled about. They weren't instructional coaches, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We didn't clarify maybe within that, but there were some doozies in the athletic world as well. So today we are going to just share a few of these. What I love about these is they're super relatable. I think you're going to find that you're not alone if you also have these nightmare situations. And some of them aren't that spooky. They're more of like the PG kind of spooky. So anyway, we're excited. Kim, I'm going to let you take it away with the first one.
Absolutely. So the phantom coach, I'm a first year coach and I've been in this role since August. Not only do I hardly feel like I'm coaching, but no one seems to know what my role is on campus. Teachers just ask me to make copies and my principal is constantly scheduling me to cover classes. I feel this deep in my soul. I think when
Deep.
really far in there, and it brings me back to my first years as a coach. I've talked about this on the show before. And to anyone who will listen, the value of having coaching as a coach to kind of help guide and support you. But we have talked about too, the importance of establishing at the beginning of the year what your roles are, what your role is on the leadership team, what your role is with coaches, what your schedule looks like. I mean, it's Halloween, so it's October 31st. It's not too late to do that. But
Not
it
too late.
sounds like there needs to be a little bit of a crucial conversation about with potentially your principal and administration about what your role is as a coach. And if it doesn't match what you are looking to do, then you may have to find somewhere else, quite frankly, where your ideas align on what your role is. And that might be like just making some copies and covering some classes for the rest of the school year and then figuring it out from there. But I've been in that situation where I was making copies and I felt like I was doing a great job as a coach. Everyone's so happy, but I did not feel like I was making an impact on people, and frankly, not what I was hired to do. So that's my opinion. What do you think, Corey?
I hear this time and time again, and I've lived this just like you have, Kim, and it's totally relatable and it's frustrating because it doesn't, you're like, many of us are your first year coach, you just left the classroom and
Yep.
you might be second guessing your choices, right? The only reason I left the classroom is because I was able to rationalize that I was going to be able to make a bigger impact out of the classroom than I could ever do inside the classroom, right? I could expand that impact exponentially by working with teachers who are going to then be working with all of these students. So it's not too late to start to reverse the mindset, but it takes intention, it takes some conversations, and it takes a little bit of, once you start kind of turning that ship a little bit, make sure you are celebrating and tooting your own horn just a bit and showing everyone else what it really could look like. So get an ally on your side, a teacher who's willing to work with you, and make a big deal about the impact that you two make together in your shared work so that others want to share along with you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And check out our episode on creating roles and talking about roles, because we have a lot of discussions about that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this one, I know who sent this one in. Kim, when you first read this one, what was your thought? The missed opportunity. You finish a killer coaching session. because you forgot to hit record.
Oh, well, my thought was, oh, shoot, like that's, it's hard. I was thinking that they were talking about, you are actually in a coaching session side by side with a teacher and you forgot to hit record, because I like the idea of recording my coaching sessions with a teacher. So I can reflect back on this, but I'm not sure that was the intention from this viewer who wrote this in. So tell me more about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's kind of what you were thinking. We've got a lot of our followers and some close friends of ours who use video in their practice to not only help capture teacher instruction and use that as a reflective tool with the teacher, but they also use it with themselves. So I definitely think that was the intent. Nothing's worse than having this rock star moment and feeling really good about something and then being like, I have nothing to show for it. Like gosh, that was a amazing lesson that I just modeled or co-taught. And I wish I would have recorded it so I could use it over and over again, but that magic's not going to recreate itself. So nothing's worse than when you don't kind of capture that. So I'm a fan for recording, and then you can use that to collaborate with other coaches or coach other
You can always
coaches.
delete it. You can always
You
delete
could
it.
always delete it.
You're
You
like
don't
that.
have to watch it just because you
Yeah.
recorded it. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing has to actually happen with the recording. But if it was gold as it was happening and you already hit record, it's also kind of awkward to like mid session, because I've been in that. I've been like, oh, this is going really good. I'm going to want to watch this back. And,
Hold on a
you don't want to
second.
mess up the flow. Wait, hold on. Can we record this? Yeah.
Pause one moment.
It loses a little magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this next one, I'm telling you, it made my stomach turn when I read this one.
Yeah.
So coach sends out an email, teacher replies to the email with a few unkind words about how she really feels about that coach, but hit reply all to everybody, like
Yeah.
principal, other teachers. Kim, like, what do you do in that situation?
I have a new saying that I have just in life in general, which is do nothing. I really feel like I think the teacher is going to know whether it's, oh my gosh, I just realized that I did this, or the neighbor across next door runs over and is like, did you realize what you did? I mean, it's going to be there's going to be an awareness. But I kind of feel like, especially if it's something that like might have really upset me, whatever she said probably upset me. If it's her true feelings, I'm going to maybe go with they were negative. Right. And so I will not react from that. I certainly will not respond in an email or anything of that nature, but I probably in the initial stage would do nothing. And just let it ride for a little bit. I don't like being involved with dramatics or kind of making things
Confrontation.
worse. I think I think if I'm not sure what to do, I do nothing. And I think in this case, I would do nothing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I also would do nothing. I would maybe call in sick the next day. I don't know.
I kind of would
I
just
don't know. I don't know.
I'm up and be like,
right.
hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's fine. I think what's hard,
happens.
and I think what's hard as a coach is to know, like, you may not be everyone's best friend. I think that's the hard part about it is,
that's important to know too.
Yeah.
You may not be, you don't need to be everyone's best friend to have an impact.
No, it's not the goal. And I think when you're a teacher, it's different. Sometimes when you become a coach, and depending on the culture, there's so many factors that go into it. But leadership is lonely for a reason. You have to have a thicker skin. You have to just let things not bother you and not take it personally. And it's hard, but you just have to do it. And if you can't, then maybe you gotta like rethink maybe what you're doing, honestly, because you have to be able to roll with the punches with stuff like this.
Yeah. And I think at some points there, again, I'm also thinking this was probably some negative feelings. At some
Sure.
point, a conversation should be had. Uh, Not necessarily to save the relationship, but if you can, that would be important. I mean, to be able to scrape off the surface of, all of the emotion that that teacher probably shared within that, and get to the root cause of, there's probably some resistance in there. There's probably some hurt, some low self-efficacy within that. And how can you best support that teacher in a way that maybe you weren't previously doing? But space, I think, is important.
At
And
first,
I
yeah, for
love the,
the
yeah,
space.
I love the, but definitely don't reply. Like, don't, that conversation is not an email
No,
based conversation.
no,
It's an in-person one.
no.
Yeah. All
Later.
right. So
Yeah.
this next one is another very relatable schedule, right? Like, check out this schedule: 8 a.m. bus duty, 9 a.m. I was going to plan with teachers, but now I'm covering classes. Lunch duty. I was going to get in classrooms at the 1, but now I've got to be the nurse for the day, or at least for an hour, cover that nurse duty. 2 p.m. I'm going to try to coach. Gonna happen, but more class coverage. So this isn't just a Freaky Friday. I think this is the schedule for a lot of our coaches
Mm-hmm.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Kim?
I have a couple thoughts. I think this goes back a little bit to the first conversation, the first freaky thing, scary thing that we were talking about, which is making sure that there's a clear description of my role, and
Mhm.
like who else it's clear that there's an issue with coverage.
Mhm.
And this may happen every once in a while, but if this is an ongoing thing, it might be a conversation again about roles and who else might be able to support, because my main job as a coach is to coach. But in the very beginning parts, like if this were to happen, I would maybe want to have some sort of contingency plan. So that 1 p.m. get in classrooms, what does that look like? Where am I supposed to be? And can that person record instead of me actually being there? Not as a go-to all the time, but as an option, just in
Mhm.
case something comes up. Hey, can you record today? And if it's part of what you're regularly doing, then it's not going to be a huge deal for that teacher.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think, and the same thing for the 2 p.m. one, depending on what happens. If it's happening regularly, it will have to be a conversation back to the roles, I think. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I think definitely if it becomes a pattern of behavior, a pattern within your schedule, having some contingency, like, where can you have control? I think there are some things clearly out of your control, but you can still influence with the conversation. But then also having that contingency plan. Again, just another reason Kim and I are such big fans of using video in coaching is it is a really good stand-in for you should you need it. Should you be home today because you've got sick kids, or someone had too much Halloween candy at
Mm.
lunch when they weren't supposed to bring candy to school, and now you're helping cover classes or do something else while they clean the vomit up in room
Yeah.
302. So
Yeah.
whatever it might be, these things are going to happen. You definitely are a team player, and you can help cover. But if it is, you are constantly being pulled as a sub, going back to what that ideal role for you is on the campus and the impact that you're supposed to have and the things that will need to happen in order for you to have that impact. So
I would say to keep track of the times that you're pulled away from your work, because
yes.
later on when your impact is, when people are looking for data on your impact, maybe it's through, student data or whatever,
Mhm.
and you're not able to do your job, it's going to be important to have that information
Right.
too. So
Right. Yeah, definitely. All right, Kim, I'm going to let you take this next one.
can't wait. I'm so excited. Is this the one that oh, the
No,
next one is the one
you're
I'm
taking the next
really
one.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
unseen. My principal asked me how the teachers they evaluate are doing. I think that my hope for everyone is that there is a line drawn between coaching and evaluation. And this is always an awkward conversation. My role before I moved here to Chicago, when I was in North Carolina, I worked for a program that we would go into schools. We were basically essentially hired as outside consultants to work with beginning teachers. And so there were often times that principals were like, so how's it going? You know? And I truly felt, and I'm being very honest when I say I felt like it was not my job to be the person that is in the classroom so principals don't have to be. The best principals that I know made time to do walkthroughs, made time to do that kind of thing. So I didn't have to be the one to kind of tell them what was going on. Now, it was also my responsibility to have conversations with those principals because frankly, they were the ones hiring me. So I was able to give some general information, such as like Corey's doing an amazing job with classroom management. It really has come a long way since the beginning of the year. We're starting to go a little bit more into how do we get more students involved in every single lesson, you know? So giving this like information without giving a whole lot of in-depth detail. Now, I was an outside consultant. I was not a coach at the school. It was a little bit different, but I was able, and I was always honest with the teachers too, to say, my job is to support you. If your principal asks, I will let them know what we're working on, but I'm not going to give a lot of detail. I'm not going to give my notes. I'm not going to give specifics. You know, and if there's something that the three of us need to talk about, then we will do that, you know. There were cases where it was a more extreme situation, but I always let the teacher know when I had those conversations too, just to make sure that trust was still there. So
yeah, and something that we do within our virtual coaching program here at Sibme is, you know, we've got a weekly coaching summary that just has the gist of the things that are going on. And the intent is to keep everybody informed. It's shared with the teacher and their whoever hired us, which is usually their kind of supervisor evaluator. But it doesn't have those details. At no point in our virtual coaching does a video that that teacher has shared with the coach ever get to that principal. And I think that's how it should be. One of my favorite books around creating a culture of reflective practice, that's the title, Pete Hall and Lisa Simmerall. They have, I think it's page 84, 86 in that book. I know the page because I've referred it to so many coaches. But they have a really good what's on the table and what's off the table between coach and administrator. And you have to be intentional with that dance because you don't ever want to get yourself in a situation where you've shared too much and now compromised the trust that that teacher has within you and the psychological safety that you've set for all the teachers that you're working with on that campus. So having that conversation at the beginning of the year, whether you're an outside consultant coming in and saying, let's talk about how you and I are going to communicate together, principal, or you know, mid-year because they've been like, oh, it's been really hard for me to get into classrooms. So share with me what you see. Just having a quick conversation of, sure, I can share with you some of the highlights of the things I'm seeing, but I can't share with you things around teacher performance and those kinds of things. Because it risks that confidentiality. That'd be like if my husband ran into my therapist at the grocery store and he's like, how's she doing? Ask her yourself, right? Like figure out. So
and I'm seeing a pattern with a lot of these scenarios, which is, you know, what kind of conversations have you had at the beginning of the year about your roles?
Right. And again, it's not too late. Second quarter, it's not too late at any time to have the conversation and begin making some shifts to the more appropriate path or patterns of behavior. It is never too late to have those. Just a little bit harder, feels a little bit harder because you've already kind of gone through some of the incorrect ways. So all right, last story. This one is so interesting to me. It's Kim's favorite of all of them. So I'm gonna let you take it away, Kim.
I'm gonna read it out loud.
Ghastly revelation.
It's so great. Okay, so when presenting in a school, a teacher, Tim, reeked of marijuana and fell asleep during the PD. Afterwards, when talking with the campus coaches, I was about to comment about the teacher when the other coach frantically interrupts about how nice it is that the other coach and her husband, Tim, the superintendent's son, get to work on the same campus. It's so great.
So many
great.
things there, right? Like it's just kind of like one of those what on earth kind of moments, especially, and I've seen this a lot as an outside consultant and PD facilitator. Sometimes you walk into a campus and you have no idea what you've walked into with. Sometimes it's the culture, it's how teachers are interacting with each other or certain teachers' behaviors. So, but then to, be about to say something and then someone's like cuts in and saves you. Like, thank goodness for that other coach knowing where that was about to go, because that also would have been an even stickier situation if she probably would have said something about the superintendent's son and the other coach's husband. But
I mean,
what would you do, Kim? What do you do? What do you do?
I think it's really tough. My biggest issue is like, why are you falling asleep? How was my PD boring? I might do some reflection on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Jokes. But I think,
or were you just so high that
I mean, maybe my PD was a little boring and I need to spice it up a little bit. I think that I think it's tricky. I think, if it's a school and I work at the school and the teacher, and this happened with the teacher, I don't think that the fact that the superintendent's, family is a part of it, I might just have a conversation with that teacher one-on-one, and just, maybe I would jokingly be like, man, was my PD that boring? You fell asleep, and then take it to a more like, okay, but I could, I can smell what's going on here and like what you do in your own personal time, it's your business, but I can't drink at school. You can't smoke right before you walk in. So I need you to just, but I probably would have a one-on-one conversation with that teacher. And I would not shy away just because of the superintendent being involved.
The connections.
No. Yeah. If it happened again, then, it would not just be a conversation with me and the teacher anymore. So.
Yeah. I mean, there has been so much conversation of late about just the saving the professionalism of our profession as educators. And so there are some things that I think have been good shifts within our profession, some more authenticity and some more real conversations about where we are as an institution, the institutionalization of education, but then there are some things that I do think cross the line. So there you have it, folks.
Really great. Really fun.
Nightmares. This is fun. Like it's again, I think that there is something therapeutic in the idea of knowing that I'm not the only one with a Freaky Friday schedule or who feels like a phantom coach on my campus, but there are some things that I can do about it as well. So continue to share your scenarios with us. We will definitely, especially if they're relatable, use those anonymously always on our campus. Tim was not Tim's name, just so we know, in case you're looking.
Tim,
Tim who fell asleep last week.
Information about that person who submitted that story.
No, completely anonymous. But if we featured your story today, we'll be sending you a small treat just for sharing with us. And here we are, Kim and Corey, along for your journey. And I know it's a rough one as we go into the soon-to-be holiday season. And
good luck today, y'all. Good luck.
Good luck.
And tomorrow.
So much candy. I'm telling you, we are remodeling our kitchen right now, and I have the candy bowl out there for all of our construction crew, and I'm telling them, like, I need you to eat this because I need less candy in this house.
Yeah,
So
be safe tonight. Be safe, everyone, if you're
mhm,
going out, and hope that you have a great holiday and holiday season. We'll be back soon.
that's right. See you all soon. Bye, everyone.